One of the biggest questions facing Donald Trump right now is his position on abortion. Yesterday, we got a potentially big clue when he spoke favorably about supporting a national ban on the procedure at 15 weeks. Take a listen.
The number of weeks now, people are agreeing on 15, and I'm thinking in terms of that, and it'll come out to something that's very reasonable. But people are really, even hardliners are agreeing, seems to be 15 weeks, seems to be a number that people are agreeing at. But I'll make that announcement at the appropriate time. But the issue of abortion, we brought it back to the states, and everybody agrees that you've heard this for years. All the legal scholars on both sides agree it's a state issue. Shouldn't be a federal issue. It's a state issue.
But while he signaled support for a 15-week federal ban, former President Trump also emphasized his view that abortion is a state issue, not a federal one. It comes as Republicans are facing renewed attacks from Democrats on the issue of reproductive rights. That is following last month's controversial ruling by Alabama's Supreme Court that frozen embryos are people, which led to pauses in IVF treatment in that state. Joining me now is Florida Republican Congresswoman Paulina Luna. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
So President Biden has suggested that he's open to supporting a national 15-week abortion ban. He's also said abortion is a state issue. Congresswoman, do you know where he stands on the issue of abortion?
Are we talking about Biden or Trump? Because right now, what I can tell you is that it should be up to the states to choose. I am personally pro-life, but that is a states' rights issue.
I'm talking about Trump.
Okay, yeah, I can tell you that right now he said that, again, this is a states' right issue. And so I haven't spoken to him personally about that. But again, it's not the job of the federal government to be legislating on that topic. Again, state rights issue.
Would you support a federal, I know you're saying it's a state rights issue, but would you support a federal ban on 15 weeks of abortion? If you couldn't get an abortion after 15 weeks, would that be something you could get behind on a federal level?
I share an absolute, I think, general consensus with my colleagues that, again, that's a states' rights issue, so we're not to interfere on that. But what I can tell you is on the issue of life and in supporting pro-life legislation, Republicans have been very strong on that. I just introduced legislation. I have my colleagues, Representative Brandon Williams, in addition to potentially Representative Nancy Mace, that will be championing that effort. And as you heard from President Trump, that is a states' rights issue. The federal government should be interfering.
You just mentioned the bill that you introduced to protect IVF. What exactly is in your bill, and how is it different than the bill that Democrats are backing?
Yeah, in fact, I was actually approached by a number of Democrats, and previously in the NDAA, we actually did also from our office back something that would enable military members to have more easier access to IVF because of the fact that there are environmental factors that are impacting this. But what I can tell you is that my bill is different in the fact that you have to have a medical diagnosis and would actually protect doctors from actually performing that procedure. And again, I really want to specify that there's a massive difference between abortion and IVF. I think that the conversation needs to be held in a respectful fashion. And I do have family members that have actually gone through with successful childbirth because of IVF. And so I think that as a pro-life individual, as a member of Congress, that if these states are going to have access to certain grant funding that actually benefit motherhood programs in their state, that they need to ensure that they are enabling access to all individuals to become mothers, especially those that are suffering from medical conditions.
Well, with what you're saying about IVF, I'm going to play for you what Speaker Johnson had to say about IVF legislation earlier this month. Take a listen.
It's not my belief that Congress needs to play a role here. I think this is being handled by the states. We need to do it ethically and well, and I think the states are handling that well. But it's something that we should protect access to, and I think every Republican is committed to that idea.
So there you have the Speaker saying he does not think Congress should take this up. Do you disagree with his stance, and should he be prioritizing IVF legislation in Congress?
I would hope that he would consider bringing our legislation to the floor, and I want to just back up the Speaker in saying that, again, my actual legislation would basically look at this from the power of the purse perspective, which is exactly what Congress is supposed to be doing, and saying that if you are a state that wants to ban IVF, ban people from having beautiful families, which is exactly what IVF does, then you're not going to be able to get federal dollars for certain programs that you're going to use to benefit your state, and that's exactly what we're hoping to do. I want to also be clear in that a majority of people are not going to tell you that they're suffering from fertility issues. There's a population decline, and there's also a lowering in fertility rates in this country. And so I hope that both Hakeem Jeffries and Speaker Johnson consider bringing this to the floor. But, you know, I'm not one that usually plays by your typical rules. So in the event that they decide not to, I'm going to be doing a discharge petition on that matter. And I hope both Democrats and Republicans join me in protecting this.
We also want to turn really quickly to your work on the House Oversight Committee. We've now heard from Hunter Biden and his business associates. Are there enough votes right now for an impeachment to go forward? Do Republicans have enough to support that?
Unfortunately, in the Senate, I don't think that it's going to go forward. However, I want to be clear about something. You know, as Congress, as Senate, we're not the judge, the jury, and the executioner, and we're not by any means a punitive arm. So what I will tell you is that these investigations are for the American people to decide. But I also want to remind people that I do believe that this Republican body needs to be serious about contempt of Congress proceedings. And so I'm going to be encouraging the Speaker as well as Chairman Comer to issue a subpoena for Hunter Biden. Hunter, if you don't show up, guess what? You're going to be held in contempt.
Congresswoman, I just want to be clear. I was asking you if Republicans in the House and that oversight committee, what you're sitting on, do Republicans in the House have the votes to impeach President Biden, or at least have the votes to support it?
Well, we already had a vote on that, and it was successfully passed. And I think with the fact that we have a one-seat majority, if we were to bring that back up, I believe that since Ken Buck has left, we likely have those votes, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Congresswoman, for your time. I know you've got to get back to the oversight hearing, so that's still ongoing. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Support IVF.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.